welcome to the SVG-TV news for today, Wednesday, November 22nd. I'm Khalil Cato with the details. The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries is partnering with the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Zero Hunger Trust Fund, the Food and Agricultural Organization, the FAO, and the Caribbean Fisheries Mechanism in hosting a week of activities in commemoration of World Fisheries Day 2023. World Fisheries Day, celebrated across the world on November 21st, annually seeks to highlight the importance of sustainable fisheries management and to draw attention to the critical role of small-scale fishers in ensuring food security and livelihoods for millions around the world. This global event serves as a platform to raise awareness about the challenges facing fisheries, including overfishing, habitat destruction, and climate change. The focus of the activities here in SVG this week is on fish loss and waste. At a press briefing at the CELAC Food Security Unit in Stony Ground on Tuesday, Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Soboto Caesar thanked fisherfolk across St. Vincent and the Grenadines for their commendable work, which he says plays a critical role in food security in SVG.
Of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for their excellent work. Food and nutrition security are two very important pillars in our quest to develop not only our country and our region, but to ensure that we have a world that we are moving towards zeroing hunger. On a daily basis, the fisher folk of our country, they will get up in the very early hours of the morning and they will go on the seas just to ensure that we have the necessary protein for our diets. And sometimes we drive to work, we spend time participating in sports without taking the time off to thank our fishers. And I really want to thank our fishers and to also thank CRFM, FAO, and the Zero Hunger Trust Fund for organizing the events that we will be executing this year.
Minister Caesar noted that over the past few days, fisherfolk and policymakers in the region have been partnering to ensure great meaning is added to the Caribbean Blue Justice Hub in Jamaica for the upliftment of Vincentian fisherfolk and others across the region.
I wish to thank the government and people of Norway for the contribution. We had at the recently held event in Kingston, Jamaica, the CRFM present, and it is really a call to action for us to ensure that we work towards engendering greater equity among the fishers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is also important that I underscore that as the fisher folk, as we explore the blue economy, it begins first of all by a clear expression of the political will that we are here as active partners supporting the fisher folk of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Currently, we are implementing a national fleet expansion initiative. Already we have several fishers who have benefited significantly from the KCCU Government of SVG Fleet Expansion Program. Persons have received engines, some persons have received boats, and we are going to see an expansion of the program in 2024. In fact, we witnessed this year the first purchasing of a tuna vessel, and this is part and parcel of the overall expansion program that we have nationally.
Minister Caesar also noted that over the next 2 weeks, the Ministry of Fisheries will have consultations throughout the country to address the issue of a proposed closed season for the harnessing and harvesting of conch.
And we are doing this with the advice of international technical experts working with local technicians to ensure that we engender the necessary levels of conservation important for us to preserve the conch stock that we have in the country. Since the opening of the Argyle International Airport, we have witnessed an exponential increase in the exportation of marine products from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we have done significant work. We have ensured that we work with the fisher folk to enlighten and sensitize, and this is going to continue over the next few weeks on the issue of conch, but it is going to expand into other areas, and it is part of the ongoing conversation that we have. I wish to take this opportunity to encourage the youth of our country. There is a need for an exceptional cadre of multi-talented and multifaceted young fishers. And sometimes I know that there are many young persons who would shy away from fishing activities, but there is a demand for more persons to get into the fishing industry.
Meanwhile, Director of the SVG Zero Hunger Trust Fund, Safia Hornbeek, outlined the activities taking place this week aimed at mitigating fish loss and waste in 3 coastal areas in SVG, namely Beckway, Chateaubelair, and Shipping Bay.
We're having this briefing, and we will be going to communities from the first, where we will have many fish, have local fish products and food displayed, engage the fisher folk, maybe donate some equipment to show and demonstrate sustainable fishing practices. We will have activities in the Grenadines. We'll have activities on the windward side of the island. We'll have activities on the windward side of the island, and the activities will conclude on the 7th of December with one final fish fest where we ensure that we bring all of our stakeholders together. Part of these activities is engaging the children, so we'll be definitely reaching out to schools to make sure our youths are part of the activity because they're the future of the industry. And we will also be ensuring that we talk to our vendors because they're a critical part of the industry also. You will be hearing a lot more from us because there will be a promotion campaign and a publicity campaign about fishing practices, and we will ensure that the public gets a chance to be involved in all the activities that we'll be hosting over the next 2 weeks.
Speaking on this year's World Fisheries Day theme, celebrating the wealth of fisheries and aquaculture, FAO National Correspondent Dr. Colleen Phillips outlined the significance of celebrating the day.
The truth is, the day is dedicated to initiatives highlighting the importance of maintaining healthy ocean ecosystems and ensuring sustainable fish stock worldwide. So this is a worldwide activity, and pretty much over 150 countries are involved in this celebration today. Globally, fishing industries, fisher folk, fishing communities, etc., come together, and there are rallies and fish fests, which is going to be the case of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, etc. Globally, people come together. We celebrate in any manner. Of course, I'm pleased to say that our Vincentian version would be that of a fish fest at the end, yes, but we would also have the campaigns the campaigns within schools and within communities. We would look at fish safety, etc.
Reiterating that the EU-Samoa agreement signed by SVG and other countries on November 15th does not require countries altering laws pertaining to same-sex marriage, transgender rights, and other related matters, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, however, pointed out on NBC Radio's Face-to-Face program that regardless of how a person chooses to live his or her life, they should not be ill-treated or denied certain opportunities.
Even though somebody who self-defines, if somebody who's a male and who self-defines as a female, or vice versa, or call themselves transgender, that doesn't mean I can meet them in the street and chop them up, or beat them up, Johnny P, or stop them from voting, or say you're denied a scholarship because you have a peculiar view of gender, or not have a job. No. They're people, are human beings, and they have civil rights. But that doesn't mean that the society, in its body of laws, put them in every single material particular on the same footing, like, for instance, in respect of marriage. No. In 10, 15, 20 years' time, 50 years' time, I don't know, Vincentians may feel that way, Johnny P, because There are some persons who would be here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines who are homophobia. But when they're in New York or Toronto, some of their best friends are gay or lesbian. You don't have to go as far as USA. And the fact of the matter is this. Anecdotally, it appears as though, and I hear it from the churches, and they will know because they deal with people on an ongoing basis, that you have a growing number of gay and lesbian people in St. Vincent and Grenadines and the region. There's no, I can't say this statistically that is so. It may be that people are just more open now. It may not, it probably hasn't increased, Johnny P. I don't know. But the point is this, you can't go and assault them, beat them up. You can't do that. You can't deny them certain opportunities with some core religious values which you may have. Some churches will say, I will not marry you. Huh? It's a whole melange of confusion. But please, don't take the agreement and adopt historical postures. The agreement of 400 and something pages. And I say, Johnny P., there are certain things that may be interpreted one way or another. But this is a comprehensive agreement covering a range of matters. All the pillars of the economy, and health and education and disaster preparedness, technology, and all the rest.
The Samoa Agreement replaces the Cotonou Agreement, the previous partnership framework between the EU and African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries. In a video statement published on the Facebook page of the Office of the Prime Minister on Monday, PM Gonzalez slammed as outlandish claims that the new deal between the European Union and other countries, which St. Vincent and the Grenadines signed on to, will require the country to change its laws regarding same-sex relations and other related matters. PM Gonzalez noted that the European Union has its own agenda with several things, as is well known, but St. Vincent and the Grenadines hasn't signed on to any matter which demands of us that we alter our legislative provisions relating to issues such as same-sex marriages or issues regarding transgender. He said there is no commitment for us to change our laws in relation to any of these matters. While reading out some of the provisions in the agreement on radio today, Prime Minister Gonzalez said some of the discussions and hysteria on the issue borders on homophobia, which is unchristian.
Article 11, inclusive and pluralistic societies. Article 1, the parties undertake to ensure equal opportunities for all members of society in all spheres of life. They shall prevent, prohibit, and eradicate discriminatory practices and shall adopt effective measures to ensure the full and equal enjoyment of all human rights. That's fine. But that doesn't mean that we must allow same-sex marriage. Because we have those words mean something different to us than it may mean to somebody else. So if they wanted to push their agenda openly, they would have sought to have other kinds of words. No, that some of them want to push it by stealth. I tell you, I'm not innocent of that, Johnny P. But we have our own perspectives. And Johnny P., some of the discussion borders on, some of the hysteria borders on homophobia, which is just so unchristian, so uncaring, so unloving in our life and living, Johnny P. Almost every person in St. Vincent and the Grenadines would have either known or reasonably suspected somebody to be gay or lesbian, or have friends. I say almost, because there are a lot of people who would say, well, this thing is alien to them, particularly very old persons and those who are fairly secluded and so forth. But we must not allow this outpouring of hysteria and homophobia.
Senior Education Officer for Primary Schools, Elspeth Adams, said the Ministry of Education has realized that there's a lot more going on behind closed doors that needs to be investigated and addressed, and has been seeking the assistance of parents and guardians in the process. Adams was a guest on the Police on the Beat program on NBC Radio, discussing how the Ministry of Education is impacting lives beyond the classroom.
So I have known of instances where counseling sessions are usually organized for these parents themselves to bring them to that place where they understand the need to have their students participate in these community activities. We also have cases where schools organize parenting workshops. You target specifics in terms of what the education ministry wants from the workshop. So parents are invited in, you bring in speakers and so on, and you try to get them to that place where they understand the need for their children to be further involved, so that at the end of the day we can produce well-rounded individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Coordinator of the National Reconciliation Unit in the Ministry of Education, Deborah Michael, who was also on the program, said that she would like to see a resurgence in community groups across St. Vincent and the Grenadines to assist with some of the challenges being faced.
I think that is an avenue, because all of these stakeholders, if we look at the school, the church, and the other institutions, it all goes back to the community at the end of the day. And if you have community groups where you can have different individuals and different organizations within the community, they know what are the issues within their community, and they start working together. A lot of the problems that we are having, if we have strong community groups and we have no community groups, we will see communities start working together again, and that in itself will lend to, us becoming a bit more united as a society on a whole.
Adams and Michael outlined their motivational drive to execute their tasks successfully as education officers.
I believe that I have a moral obligation to effect change in the life of every single individual, not necessarily in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but globally. So accordingly, I think that I am intrinsically motivated to do the job that I'm doing, and to do it to the best of my ability.
Yes. And for me, I believe that you go where you're planted. So we didn't initially start out in education, but we're here now, and we have to put our roots down, and we have to bloom in the environment where we are. And every day I believe you have to do you may not necessarily be where you want to be, but you have to enjoy what you're doing. I enjoy impacting people's lives. It puts a smile on your face when something that you would have done would have made a change to somebody's life, and that's the most important thing. And I want to see my country develop, and I would do my best and whatever I can from where I'm placed to ensure that.
A win for you is a win for everybody.
Indeed.
The weather forecast for St. Vincent and the Grenadines over the next 3 days is expected to be generally fair. In its 72-hour outlook, the SVG Meteorological Service says although showers are likely across SVG on Thursday and early Friday, the general weather pattern into the weekend calls for relatively fair conditions as the Atlantic high pressure system exerts its dominance in the upcoming days. The outlook says gentle to moderate 15 to 25 km/h northeasterly trades are crossing the islands and could increase to near 30 km/h on occasions late Friday and late Saturday. Seas are expected to remain slight to moderate in open waters. In addition, slight concentrations of Saharan dust haze will be visible throughout the forecast period. Police here are investigating a stabbing incident in Georgetown on Tuesday evening which resulted in the death of O'Neill Delicia. According to reports, Delicia was involved in an altercation with another teenager in the Queens Street area in Georgetown at around 6:40 p.m. During the altercation, Delicia reportedly received stab wounds to his neck and shoulder. He was rushed to the nearby Georgetown Medical Complex where he succumbed to his injuries. A 14-year-old is said to be in police custody, assisting with the investigation. Delicia's death brings the country's homicide count for the year thus far to 49. The Layou community, in collaboration with the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, will host a march and rally against crime and violence tomorrow under the theme Love is the Answer. The march will commence at 10 a.m. at Velox Corner, go through Rutland Vale to Cashville, onto the Layou Public Road, then to the Layou Waterfront, where the rally will be held. A news release from the police says during the rally, brief remarks will be delivered by the Divisional Commander of the Southwestern Division, Assistant Superintendent of Police Nigel Butcher, Acting Commissioner of Police Enville Williams, Parliamentary Representative the Honorable Dr. Orlando Brewster, and a pledge by a member of the Layou Police Youth Club. There will be a short exhortation. Special prayers will also be rendered by members of the clergy for the following groups: the community at large, law enforcement officers, community leaders, and youths. There will be other special renditions, including performances by Dr. Alston Beckett Cyrus and others. Persons participating in the march and rally are being encouraged to wear white. Vincentian consumers are being advised to shop wisely during the Christmas season. Director of Consumer Affairs of the Consumer Affairs Division, Clarence Harry, shared a few tips that can be useful to consumers, while Senior Consumer Officer in the division, Colin Olivier, advised consumers to create a shopping list to avoid impulse shopping or buying. Harry and Olivier were guests on NBC's Talk Your Talk program yesterday, discussing the rights and responsibilities of consumers during the Christmas season and the new Consumer Act.
The callers have you heard, the prices are increasing rapidly. So let us shop wisely, prioritize. I will see the persons, not to be offensive. Try avoid brand shopping. A lot of us shop by brand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and the higher the brand, the more expensive it is. So let us try, shop within our means. But I want to say an empowered consumer is an informed consumer. Know your rights, but at the same time, be responsible for your actions.
Buying impulsively always leads to regrets in the end. And also be very careful when you're buying on sale. Because when you're buying on sale, basically there is no redress. You buy at your own risk once the item is discounted.
Yeah.
So be very careful. Know your rights. Very, very important.
Responsible.
Know your rights and also be responsible during this festive season.